Should you learn Python in 2026? Now, this used to be a very simple question to answer, but with AI writing so much of our code these days, it's honestly become a lot more complicated, so I want to break it down for you. Now, ultimately, what's going to determine whether Python is worth learning comes down to what you actually want to build and the type of role or career that you want to go after. Now, for some of you, Python is still one of the best investments that you can make this year. But for a lot of you, this is actually just a waste of time and you don't really need to learn it. So let me get into it, and by the end of this video, you're going to know whether you should learn Python or not. Okay, so for the last 10 years, the advice here was pretty universal. It didn't really matter who you were or what you wanted to do. If you asked anyone in tech, where should I start, they would tell you go learn Python, or at least that'd be a very common answer. And that advice was pretty good because Python is beginner friendly, it's relatively easy to learn, and up until recently, writing code yourself was the only way to become a software engineer and to write software that did something meaningful, right? To kind of control your computer. Now, this last part here has changed a lot. These days, you can just open up Claude Code, Cursor, Codex, whatever, pretty much any AI tool. You can just type a sentence and actually don't even need to type anymore. You can literally just speak to your computer and you can generate tens of thousands of lines of code in just a few minutes. And a few years ago, the quality of that code is questionable, but today with the crazy AI models that we have, it's probably better than what you would write on your own. Now, this is why the question is kind of changing here. It's no longer, can you write Python code? The real question is, do you need to be able to read Python, debug it, and understand it when something goes wrong? So these are two very different questions. That's kind of what I'm building on in this video. Rather than asking, should I learn Python? The better question is, do I need to know Python and what for? Okay, so I'm going to get into the details here, but I do want to quickly address something that a lot of people get wrong because it's probably going to change how you watch this video. Now, Python is one of the top languages for AI development. That is absolutely true, and I'm going to break that down in just a minute. But if the reason you're asking about Python is that you want to build things with AI, and you're also not necessarily trying to become a software engineer, then I got to be honest with you, you probably don't need Python, or at least you don't need it at the beginning. Now, I know this sounds a bit strange because I literally have hundreds of Python tutorials, but this past year, I've watched tons of people with zero coding background, and I mean literally zero knowledge whatsoever, build AI agents that can read their email, manage their calendar, handle parts of their work, and have become like experts in AI agents without knowing how to code. And the main thing I've noticed here is that they didn't do this by grinding through programming courses, right? They simply followed a simple process and started building from day one. Now, that's actually why I just started a free community called AI Agent Builders. If you're watching this video, it just went live today, and inside there is a step-by-step system that I call Zero to Agent. Now, this is where you pick one real problem from your life, from your work, whatever, and you follow the modules and you walk out the other side with a completed agent that actually does something useful for you. And I'm not talking, months here to build this out. It's literally a few days of work. There's no Python required, no CS degree, and I'm going to be in there with my team answering a bunch of questions, especially at the beginning, so we can build agents together. This is free. You do not need to pay for anything, but I have to be honest with you, I don't know how long this is going to be free for. So if you've been consuming AI content and you still haven't actually built anything, this is definitely something to join. I'll leave a link in the description, and you're going to see that it's going to be evolving very quickly over the next few weeks, so pop in there. Okay, so with that out of the way, let me actually talk about Python because some of you watching this again should learn it, but it really depends on the situation. Now, I don't want anyone walking away from this video thinking that Python is somehow dying or dead or whatever. Now, that's because that could not be further from the truth. And if you look at where AI actually gets built, it's pretty much Python everywhere. So PyTorch, Python, right, for model training, fine-tuning, data pipelines, pretty much every agent framework you've heard of, under the hood, most of that code is Python. Now, Python's been at or near the top of every programming language ranking for years now, and the AI wave has just made that a lot stronger. So if you're someone who wants a job as a machine learning engineer, an AI engineer, a data scientist, even a backend developer, then learning Python really isn't even an option. This is something you have to do. The interviews are going to test it. The code bases you're going to be working in are going to be written in Python. And realistically, nobody is hiring an AI engineer who can't read the language, okay? So even if you can generate the code with AI, you need to understand what it's doing, be able to read all of the components, and now you could probably learn it faster than you would have been able to before, but you do need to understand it deeply. And this kind of leads me into the point that I think most people miss here, which is that just because AI can write your code doesn't mean that knowing how to read the code becomes less important. In fact, I would actually argue it makes it more important because your job now, if you are going to be writing code in Python or generating code in Python, kind of shifts from being the developer, right, who's actually writing, to being the reviewer, right? Because the thing about AI generated code is that most of the time it looks perfect, it's going to run, but it's going to have very complicated or difficult bugs to solve that you genuinely need to be an expert in the language to be able to understand. So for example, maybe a loop is going to stop one item early. Maybe an error is going to get swallowed somewhere and never reported. It doesn't matter, right? The idea is that you're not going to be able to spot these things unless you're actually experienced with the language and you've learned how it worked. So hopefully at this point you kind of understand both sides of the argument, and what I want to do now is separate my recommendation into the 3 types of people that I believe are watching this video. Now the first is what I call a career coder or a career developer. Now, this is someone who wants a job in software, they want to do machine learning, want to do data science, whatever, and if that's you, the recommendation here has not changed, right? You should probably learn Python, and that means learning the fundamentals, data structures, debugging, and building real legitimate projects. Now, AI is going to be your accelerator, but it's not your replacement, right? And if anything, the bar for professionals has actually been raised, because now you're expected to ship faster and catch the mistakes that AI is making every single time. So if you do want a job in this field, you need to know Python, and to be honest, you need to know it better than you ever did before, which can be encouraging or discouraging, however you want to look at it, because if AI is going to generate so much code, you better be able to review it and know when it's making a mistake and when it's not. Now, the second type is what I'm going to call the builder. Now, this is someone who has a business, a job, some kind of workflow, whatever, and they want an agent, they want an automation, maybe they want to build a quick product. Now, if that's you, my advice is to build first using the AI tools that exist, and then learn Python later when you're hitting a wall with what you're currently able to do. And trust me, eventually you will hit a wall where knowing how to code is going to get you past that obstacle, but for most people, it's going to take a long time. So what's going to happen is that you'll just start building something using AI tools, right? You'll get a pretty good result. And then as soon as you have a really big problem and AI is not able to fix it, you're going to realize, oh, I need to actually understand what's going on here. And then you're going to start learning bits and pieces of the language, in this case, Python, if you're building with Python, and that will start to kind of pull your project forward and also let you learn a lot faster. Because you're not going through a textbook, you're not learning it for theory, you're learning exactly what you need for the individual thing that you're working on, which I find is always the best way to learn. So if you're not trying to become a career developer and you just want to build something, maybe even something impressive, start building it, and when you need to learn the code, just learn the code. There will be a time where that's going to come up, and then you can dive into it with a real project to apply those skills to. Now, the last type of person watching this video is what I'm going to classify as AI curious. Now, this means you don't really want to build anything specific, but you just don't want to get left behind. Now, if that's you, I'm going to be completely honest with you, you do not need to know Python at all, right? This skill only matters for people that actually need to use it in some type of professional setting or for a legitimate project that they're working on. Ideally, what you want to do is focus on how to prompt an AI model better, how to get good output, how to spot the bad output, and understand the advanced features that you can use inside of these tools. So learning Cursor or learning Claude Code is going to be more effective for you than learning the Python theory. Now, one thing I want to be clear on, if I am suggesting to you to learn Python or even to learn it later when you need to pick it up, don't learn it the same way that you would learn it back in 2019, right? It is 2026. We have a lot of advantages and you can learn Python significantly faster. So what I would do, to be honest, is I would start building something from day one. So I would use AI inside of your editor, treat AI like your personal tutor, and every single line of code that it's writing, you can ask it why. What is this loop doing? Why is there a dictionary here? What happens if this file doesn't exist? Is this the right code? Does this work? What about this example, right? You basically have a patient senior developer that's sitting inside of your code editor 24 hours a day for free that's teaching you how to do this. When I was learning how to code back in 2013, if I wanted to learn something, I had to go dig through Stack Overflow. It took me a long time. I had to read textbooks. I had to look at really crappy 480p YouTube videos. Today, you can learn so much faster because you can get instant feedback. So don't waste your time memorizing syntax like I would have done 10 years ago. AI can really handle a lot of the syntax now for you. What you want to be spending your time on here is really how to make better decisions. So how to break a problem down, what good code actually looks like, right? How to debug something when something fails. You want to look at these critical thinking skills and really drill those more than you ever would have before, because AI can spit the code out for you, but it can't decide what code to write and what constitutes done or good. Now, these are the skills that really compound over time and are going to allow you to use AI to its full ability. So let me wrap it up here and give you the honest answer. Should you learn Python in 2026? Well, here's what I have to say. Python is not dead, but it is also no longer mandatory. If you're a professional, you're going to need to learn Python, right? So learn it, get into it, spend your time like you would have before. If you're a builder, build first and then let the language come to you naturally when you need it. And if you're just trying to stay literate with all of the stuff that's going on in AI, focus on learning the direct AI tools. Don't really worry too much about the code unless you really need to for some particular reason. So like I said in the beginning, the real answer here just depends on your goal. And hopefully now you can kind of understand what makes the most sense based on the situation that you're in. And regardless, whether you decide to learn Python or not, if you just want to build something with AI, then the free community that I linked below that I mentioned is definitely a great option for that. It brings you from zero to your first working agent with no coding required, no background, and is completely free. I will see you there. Click the link below.